Well, I haven't always written in true crime, though. That is a recent occurrence.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, Private Investigator Edward Opperman. Mr. Opperman. Oh, it's Victoria. Oh, God. I'll never understand that song. I love that song. Here comes a baby. But then, he's in love with this girl, and she's with another guy. What's the deal there, man? Move on. Who are these people? Can't move on. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. If you like our show, be sure to check out our Patreon, Opperman Report Patreon. Oh, I got killed this month on Patreon. Oh, God. I'm counting on that money, too. Jesus, I'm going to do it. Everything I do is just... I had such a week this week, man. You would not believe, man. My computer broke the other day. I almost didn't do a show tonight. And I just barely got the recorded shows back from Ed. Then I had to drive to drop this computer. It's a half hour away, and I'm seeing all this hurricane damage. I'm used to just seeing I haven't ventured out too far from this neighborhood here since we've had the hurricane. There's really no reason to. And there are trees knocked over, felled, I guess they're called, right? Felled trees. Here comes a baby. That's are like 5-foot diameter trunks. What the hell? These are huge trees, man. They've been around for hundreds of years. So, who knows, man. Probably time to get the hell out of Dodge, out of here, man. Insurance is going up. Anyway, welcome to the show. Check out our Patreon. Then we're going to do a live show every Friday night at Spreaker.com. For now, January 1st, we no longer have this live option. I don't know how I'm going to be doing a live show. I think when I get my computer back, though, we'll have fixed the to be able to take phone calls from listeners. So that might be nice. Who knows, man? I've got to shake things up a bit. So here we are. Okay. Here we go. Another show. 5 minutes in. Let me look at the clock. Maybe it'll go faster. All right. So that's okay. So coming up tonight, I have a two-part, two different guests, but it's about the same topic. This the baby doll killer, this serial killer up there in Michigan, and it's a very interesting story. So first we have the author of the book, and then we have the detective who worked on the case. Right now, I'm talking to this guy. Okay, this cop who worked on this case, he's telling me about how he was part of this violent crimes unit that also had people from the IRS and the FBI and state police all working in conjunction with this unit. And it's very unusual, to have a city police department have liaisons within IRS and DEA and FBI and stuff like that, federal agencies, because for many reasons. But he's telling me this story, how he's working with this unit, how he's got this unit up there in Michigan that has these federal assets. And I'm remembering a case I had, lo and behold, in Michigan. Okay, it was around 2003 or maybe 2004. And what happened was, up there in Michigan, I had this client come to me, and we needed to locate and identify some people behind a website, an anonymized website. And it was a website associated with escort services. And what would happen is the women escorts, who were called providers, they weren't called openly escorts, would review and rate the Johns or the clients that were called hobbyists. So the men were called hobbyists and the women were called providers. And what was going on, I got all sucked into their drama too. There's frequent flyers on the site there. Constantly had problems with bad reviews, And then, some people got along with everybody. Some people were like in leadership roles in this little crazy community. And what was going on is my client in all this was being extorted. He was being blackmailed for $10,000 a month. He had visited with some of these escorts, and I guess, got information from him, and were going to they were threatening to contact all his relatives and his neighbors and people he was employed with. They had run credit reports on the guy, and they were charging his Amex card $10,000 every month. And he comes to me for help to get him out of this mess. Just another day at work, right? So let's at the office, red outfit. So what do you call it? And then he tells me, and I'm helping him out, because I'm little by little, I'm identifying people one by one, but we need to get to the big shots who run the site. And he tells me, I'm hitting my card up $10,000 a month, but my friend, they're getting him for way, way more. So now I was thinking, man, that was like, $30,000 a month, man, this hitting this other guy who wasn't paying me. I just had the one client paying me. But the other guy, of course, would benefit from the results. So ultimately, I was able to locate and identify the folks behind this website. And then through some extra efforts, we were able to obtain their computers and their laptops that contained all the blackmail material. We were able to convert it from their possession to our possession, okay, through various means. Okay. And so, happy client. They have no more material to blackmail my client with anymore. That's gone. Okay, they have nothing. All right, like they don't even have a way to contact this guy anymore because we had all their devices. So I say, okay, great, man. This guy's, there's a blackmail ring here, man. They're running this prostitution operation. It's a blackmail ring. Let me contact these cops over there in Michigan and see if they want to buy my report. When I get some petty cash for me to go there and help them out here, right? And so I contact someone in the Vice Department. I guess I say, what do you got there in Vice who handles prostitution? I got this case here, blackmail prostitution. And they put me on with this guy. And so I say, I just want a couple $100, man. $500, $800 for the report. No big deal. You guys got that money laying around, right? You're seizing these drug dealers' money all over the place. Certainly you can hire me. And so he comes at me with, well, you're withholding evidence, and we can come down there and arrest you. We can pick you up. And I said, pick me up, man. I'm in Las Vegas, over there in Michigan. But anyway, I'm going to say, let me know when you start heading over here. Okay, give me a little head start, pal. And wouldn't you know it, it turns out that they had federal resources. This unit that was busting my balls over there, trying to get my work for free, had federal resources and could reach out and arrest me in Nevada. Okay? So I had to turn over my report for free. This irks me till this day. I was so pissed off. But on top of that, what really, really, really pissed me off in this thing was they did go and arrest all the people I had identified. And they took all the credit. They said that they did their own investigations. Didn't even give me credit saying, hey, we got a tip from this PI in Nevada. I think it was in Colorado at the time. But, not even the courtesy. Give me a little bit of credit there. So I don't know, man. It's just kind of I got a feeling, perhaps, that this was the unit I was dealing with over there in Michigan. Maybe not. So that'll be coming after this. It's two good shows, two good interviews. Okay, yeah. And then coming up this week, I got some great stuff. I'm going to do another show about that story about the writer with no hands, and we have some new information about that. Okay, and then I got this filmmaker coming on too. His film's just coming out, and it's about right-wing extremism. And he's been working on this thing for like 10 years. What the hell is that? It's this phone. The phone was causing feedback into the... Anyway. By the way, I'm on a little makeshift rigged up computer setup here. Almost couldn't do the show tonight, but thank God I was able to do it. And that's why the intro was all screwed up, because I don't have those files with the intro music and stuff. Anyway, the documentary filmmaker Dave Emery, I think we have coming back too. Hopefully before Election Day. It's almost. I think next week is Election Day, right? It's coming around the corner. We're gonna have. It's Tuesday, right? It's Election Day. And then I'm doing another show about Watergate. Okay, so a lot of good stuff coming up. Keep an eye out for that. Name of the show tonight is Epstein Didn't Kill Himself. Okay. But before we get to that, there's been some other Epstein developments this week. Michael Wolff, who wrote that book, Fire and Fury, he was embedded into the Trump White House, and he wrote that book about the ongoings in the Trump White House. He just came out this week. He has hundreds of hours of tape interviewing Jeffrey Epstein, and the one they released this week was about the Epstein being very intimately familiar with the inner workings of the Trump White House. Okay, he knew what was going on in there, which makes sense because Epstein was very close friends with Wolff, and Epstein and Wolff, Michael Wolff, are both very close friends with Steve Bannon. Okay, now Wolff knows, because he's mentioned it before, that the reason for the falling out between Epstein and Trump was over moral reasons. According to Jeffrey Epstein, was quoted by several people that he had a moral issue with Trump, and that issue was that Trump was hitting on the wives of his friends, and he was sleeping with his friends' wives, and Epstein didn't like that. He found that morally reprehensible. Okay, and that was the cause of their the breakup of their friendship. So that was a big event. It just happened last night. Okay, so there's hundreds of hours of tape there. You'd think Wolf would want to monetize all this, especially before the election, but I guess he has some other side deal going on in the background with Trump. Maybe this was like a shot across the bow saying, hey, Mr. Trump, I want my stipend, my weekly stipend to be doubled before the election this week, Mr. Trump, because kind of odd timing and all this, okay? And there seems to be a lot of money being floated around, things being bought up and caught and killed. And then, of course, the news last week was the arrest of that fellow Jeffries, who was the CEO of Abercrombie and Finch, which was an L corporation with Les Wexner Corporation. Okay, Wexner, untouchable Wexner, man. This guy can't be touched. Not once did you ever see a meme. We're going to be talking about Epstein didn't kill himself, and we're coming around to Christmas season, where we're going to see that stupid meme. This Christmas ornament didn't hang itself. Oh, because Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Well, why do we say that? How did that become, that's so popular, but nothing about boycotting Victoria's Secrets right now. No, my goodness, never forget that. But this little meme, this little catchy little line there, Epstein didn't kill himself. Why do we say that? Where does that originate from? There's other people. Jean-Luc Brunel died in jail. Why don't we say Jean-Luc didn't kill himself? Ariel Castro, remember him from Cleveland? He killed himself in jail. Why don't we say, Ariel Castro didn't kill himself? There's a lot of suspicious stuff around that case. But this one here, we are sold a catchy little phrase that looks great on a meme with a Christmas ornament, just like Pedophile Island and Lolita Express and all these wonderful, cute little expressions you have in the Jeffrey Epstein money-making machine PR team out there. And with the first person to come up with this clever little meme here, what a brilliant guy. You never believe who it was. It was a Navy SEAL who was petting his dog on Fox News. And they were interviewing this guy about something else. And toward the end of the interview, he's just petting his dog there, and he looks into the camera and he goes, "Yep. And Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself." Oh, and then it was off to the races after that. They were just caught like wildfire. You know how these things just catch like wildfire. I remember like Jimmy JJ Dynamite. Okay, or the Fonz. Hey, these things just have a life of their own. They just come out of nowhere and they become household charming little phrases here that just take off. But it's interesting though that here you have Jeffrey Epstein with all his intelligence connections, and you have a Navy SEAL, a U.S. Navy SEAL, who when they're doing their operations, they're all up in there with the CIA doing those operations. Man, there's so much back and forth with the CIA and Navy SEALs, and he's the one who launches this meme that. This phrase that launched 1,000 memes or 100 million memes, okay? Everybody all over the place. Well, we're going to be taking a look at this Epstein didn't kill himself. You see, whenever I'm talking to somebody, especially like a new client or something like that, or I'm trying to get a gig or some work on something, and it comes up about Epstein. Hey, and I worked on this with Epstein, worked on that with Epstein. And the first question, oh my goodness, really? Well, I watched one of the documentaries on Netflix about Epstein. Very interesting. What do you think? Do you think he killed himself? That's the first question I get every single time. And I got it this week from this lovely woman. Remember that woman, Hannah, I interviewed, who she does the decoying for that Predator Poachers, Alex Rosen team there. And I interviewed her, and we've stayed in touch. You stay in touch with a lot of the guests, man, after the show. And sometimes, you get along great with them. Sometimes they turn out to be just crazy. They just got all kind of crazy, wacky politics or crazy theories. They're just weird, man, and just bugging me constantly. But Hannah's a very nice woman, and out there doing great work. She just really professionally doing this work too. You know, she's very impressive with the way she handles things professionally. But her question for me this week was, well, what do you think? Do you think he killed himself? And I says, you know what, man? I'll do a whole show about this to address this once and for all, what I think about this. Okay, that's usually the first question. Then they start asking me about the list. What about the list? Okay. All right, I've done shows about the list before. Okay, now, one of the things that it turns out to be incorrect, okay, and even I was believing it and fell for it for a while, was that Bill Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, had visited Jeffrey Epstein at the MCC, the Metropolitan Correctional Center there in Manhattan, the day he died. Okay. Now, since that time, that story's been debunked. It came out from a guy who was like a mafia informant who really didn't have any kind of expertise or firsthand knowledge in the situation. But he told a guy, and this guy tweeted it, and then it was published either in the Daily News or the New York Post, I forget which one. And then they later on went back and retracted it. All right. So the story of Bill Barr visiting Jeffrey Epstein in jail the day he died, that I no longer believe, even though that was repeated to me by somebody who should know, just someone who was intimately involved in all this, enough that you would think that they would have better sources when they shared this with me. But yeah, sometimes it's like a game of telephone tag, right? And it turns out it wasn't that Barr visited with Epstein. After Epstein's death, Barr visited with Epstein's cellmate, his last cellmate before he was dead. Now, when you say that, right away, like if you Google right now, Epstein's cellmate, or even Epstein's last cellmate, you're going to come up with the name of Nicholas Tartaglione. Okay, that muscle-bound cop who killed the 4 people for the drug cartel, right? And that's all you're going to find. Okay? That's all you're going to find. They want you to see that. Okay, they want... Stop the presses. Stop anything about a cellmate with Epstein is Nicholas Tartaglione. Tartaglione. Okay? And then that's it. Nothing else to see. Stop looking. It's done. Okay? And Epstein did tell his lawyer that Tartaglione did injure him, and they had a little beef there in the cell. And he injured him. And then Tartaglione goes on to do all this weird stuff where he's writing these letters saying that the Bureau of Prisons is harassing him because he has knowledge and information. But he wasn't anywhere near Epstein during the time of his death. Did you know that Epstein had another cellmate that was transferred? The guy was an informant, by the way. And he was transferred out of Epstein's cell the day before Epstein died. Let me find this guy's name for you. My notes are like all over the weird place. Oh, no. Don't tell me it ain't. Oh, here it is. Yeah. The guy's name was Ephron. His nickname was Stone Reyes. Okay. And this guy was cellmates with Epstein up until the day before Epstein died. Okay. And he was moved out of that housing and put into a privately run prison because he was an informant. He was meeting with prosecutors and detectives all the time. So I had to take him out of there and put him to this more secure place with its easier access to this informant. So Stone, we'll call him Ephron Stone Reyes. We'll call him Stone from now on. But the only way you're going to know about this guy and know that he had any kind of connection to Epstein is if you first know his name and search his name. Because you're not going to find him looking for Epstein's cellmate. You're going to find this other Tartaglione guy. Which right away should make you suspicious. They want you to see this guy, but they don't want you to see this guy. The informant who was there the day before, who did meet with Bill Barr. After Epstein was dead, Bill Barr went and met in person with this Stone Reyes guy. Okay, that's where that information got conflated, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now Stone Reyes, believe it or not, he's dead now too. Okay, now the official story is he died of COVID. His friends and his family are all saying yes, it was COVID. He was sick. He died at his mother's house, and this guy was an informant. They let him back out. He winds up dead from COVID. Okay. But with some of the things he says Epstein was suicidal, okay? And he says he was begging Epstein in the cell there not to kill himself while he was there. He didn't want that bad, he didn't want to be living in a cell where the guy had just killed himself. He says Epstein's suicidal. He also says that he was dope sick, okay? And Epstein paid $500 to get him a dosage of Suboxone, which is, that stuff helps you get off heroin. Okay. And so that he would be able to go to sleep at night, because Epstein liked to be in bed and asleep at 10 p.m. So he's paying $500 for these dosages of Suboxone for his cellmate there. And the cellmate's begging him not to kill himself. The cellmate gets transferred out of there. The next day, Epstein kills himself. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that Bill Barr is innocent in all this, okay? Because 100% fact, Bill Barr did fire Jeffrey Berman. Berman was the head SDNY prosecutor that was prosecuting the Epstein case, and Barr went and fired him for no reason. And actually, he said Berman resigned. Okay, and Berman said, "I had to resign." And there was a little beef in the public there, and then Berman's whole entire deputy staff of litigators there all stood behind him, and there was like a mutiny, and they would not allow Barr to fire Berman without keeping that unit intact that was going after Epstein. So Barr was making an attempt to silence the prosecution against Epstein. That's a fact. We also know, okay, from Lev Parnas. Lev Parnas was in that same jail, okay? He was in a higher security cell than Epstein was. He was in a higher security area than Jeffrey Epstein was in that jail. By the way, A.J. Webman was in that jail too. I've been in that jail, not as an inmate, but we've been there interviewing clients that were on trial. And A.J. Webman, Lev Parnas, and Stephen Hoffenberg was also held in that jail too, so, So we all know the reputation that jail has for contraband. Okay, it's notorious all the crimes going on there, and even just the photos, the crime scene photos of the Epstein cell. He's got all these extra jumpsuits and blankets and stuff in there. He's got all this extra contraband. You're not allowed to have all that stuff, man. They give you one, the average guy. So he was doling out money like crazy. Stone Reyes says that too, that there was jokes that Epstein was putting people in his will, and that he put that guy Targoloni guy in his will. Okay, and then the Targoloni's lawyer says, "Well, I don't know anything about that." And by the way, Reyes's lawyer says, "I don't know what the hell Bill Barr would be doing contacting my client, okay, and interviewing my client without me being there present with him." Okay, look up this Reyes guy. Okay, there's a lot going on there. All right. $500 a pop for the subtext, man. So Epstein's in there. He's doling out money to everybody in sight. There was allegations, too, that Epstein was complaining about that the guards were bringing him burnt food and that other inmates were extorting him. Okay, he was having problems with the other inmates in there, too. So this is all information we have from the practically invisible Efron Stone Reyes, okay, the informant. Died of COVID, $500 subtext there. Now, it's amazing. Oh, God. Because there's so much. The story is so controlled, Like, just the fact that they got us talking about did he kill himself or didn't he kill himself to begin with. Now, the investigation into his death, his brother kind of took over, and they brought in, I believe it was Cyril Wecht, right, to do a review of the autopsy. But then again, they're just going by autopsy photos. He didn't have access to the body, and they're going over these injuries from Tartellone, which now they admit to practically. And it would appear, too, you don't hear anything about the Subutex, the Suboxone transaction there going on, big investigation into this stuff. No mention of that whatsoever. And this guy was out on the outside talking about it openly. But so people will come to me and they'll say, well, what do you think? Did he kill himself? Right? And I'll start talking about this guy, Stone Reyes, right? And Bill Barr, Fire and Berman, and all these things that the average person has no clue about. And then, inevitably, I will get back. Well, you know what I think? You know what I think happened? Well, you know what? I know you worked on this stuff for years. Well, you know what I think happened? Like, I watch Netflix. I think it was Hillary Clinton. I think it was Hillary Clinton because she didn't want it to come out that Bill Clinton had visited the island. Which, okay, island. People, the island was basically a house, okay? It's like a 5-bedroom house, okay, where it was the main house on the island. Then there was some small paths that you had to use golf carts to get around. Then there were 3 small bungalows, cottages, that were used both by staff and guests, okay? So this idea that this island was being hosted parties with thousands of people or hundreds of people, or even more than 50 people, is just, it's absurd. This just didn't happen. But it's an island, and everyone is fascinated with this freaking island. Pedophile island, okay? When we know for a fact, if you read the 2006 grand jury, unsealed grand jury transcripts that I have up there at the Opperman Report Patreon for free, the victims in this case, the majority of them, okay, in 2006, were students at the Royal Palms High School. The detective, when he's being interviewed by this prosecutor who's taking a nosedive, you can read this thing, the prosecution was taking a dive on this case. And if it weren't for some brave grand jury members who stood up and asked and gave advice to these young women, these victims, and encouraged them, okay, that there would not have been a returned an indictment there. The prosecutor was taking a dive in this case. One of the chief detectives, who was also trying his best to get information out when the prosecutor was, the prosecutor was even calling one of these girls a stripper. He goes, oh, she was an exotic dancer. Oh, you mean a stripper? Okay, so the prosecutor was smearing these witnesses, talking about how they ran away from home and they were using drugs and all this horrible stuff about her victims, her complainants in the case. And the detective says, there was no one at Royal Palms High School that did not know what was going on. One of these young ladies is talking about how her cousin and her ex-boyfriend's sister and these other people, all these kids at the trailer parks around there, right? Because most of these kids came from the trailer parks. When they were trying to convince her to go see Jeffrey Epstein the next day to get $100 for a massage, because the other girl was getting $200 for bringing another new girl over. That's cousins and people were telling him, no, don't go to that creepy guy's house. Don't go there. Everyone, all the kids at the trailer park knew what was going on. Everyone at Royal Palms High School knew what was going on. And that was about 30 minutes away from Epstein's house, okay? Royal Palms High School, when these trailer parks were, right? 30, 40 minutes. And they all knew. Okay, all these people in this little town knew. Donald Trump didn't know. He had no idea what was going on. My goodness, as soon as he found out, he... Oh, good. But but let's keep in mind here, okay, the Ponzi scheme here, the multi-level marketing scheme here he had was he would hire one girl to go back to the high school there and I'll pay you $100 and I'll pay the other girl $100. Every girl you bring me, I'll give you $100, I give her $100. Then when she stops going through you, I'm going to give her $200. If she brings me another girl, she gets another $100. That was the deal. These girls are coming over in cabs and rental cars, okay, and buses. They're not taking a plane to an island. They were going from the Royal Palms High School in that area over there in West Palm Beach over to Epstein's house over there. Okay? There was no airplane. There was no island for any of those victims. Not one of them. Okay? There would be no reason to take them to an island. Okay? You know? But what do they want you looking at? They want you reciting these memes. He didn't kill himself. They want you reciting these memes about Pedophile Island and about Lolita Express. Who was on the plane? Who was on the plane? Well, you know, Daniel Hanks wanted to come up with some names, people associated with this, and he thought of flight logs. Okay, it was a brilliant idea. He came up with the flight logs. And we got some names from those flight logs. But people that are driving back and forth from Royal Palms High School to Jeffrey Epstein's house or a mile away to Mar-a-Lago, they don't need to get on a plane and go to an island. They could just ride their little bicycle over to Jeffrey's house. Okay? So that kind of dispels with the island. The whole island nonsense. Which, by the way, the only reason, the significance of the U.S. Virgin Islands is that's where the Southern Trust was located. When Epstein and Dyke and Kahn stole all that money from Tower Financial and from Stephen Hoffenberg, they opened up another trust down there in the Virgin Islands called the Southern Trust. And that's where all that stolen money came from. It came from Tower Financial. And it was Hoffenberg who got that case opened up down there, too, by the way. You should know that. I forgot to mention, that it was when Lev Parnas was at MCC. He was sitting there in his cell, and they slipped a little note under his door, and it's a handwritten note from Rudy Giuliani. So we know that Rudy Giuliani was able to pierce security at that jail, that unit there, which doesn't surprise you. I'm sure Dershowitz could too as well. And we have Barr there, like I said before, sabotaging the prosecution. And then visiting with this witness the day after Epstein dies, this previous cellmate in person, very unusual. Then lastly, we got this list. Okay. Well, Ed, when are we going to see the list? Okay. There is no exhibit, some sealed exhibit or some secret exhibit in some kind of court case where there's a list of clients. That doesn't exist. There's no even allegation or alluding to some kind of a list like that, a client's list that never made it. That there's some investigative report with a client's list. We have an address book, we have flight logs, and then we have people he's associated with that we know from people like Wolf. Okay. I do know a guy that has Epstein's phone records, That would be a valuable list, And this is a guy that really knows what's going on, But I don't know, man. It's like the people who really know what's going on and the people involved in this are the ones that are kind of pushed aside and silenced. And then all these bullshit artists that are out there, and just repeating this nonsense over and over and over again. These are the ones that are just elevated to these 500,000 Twitter accounts. Some of them are just total frauds and hoaxes. Have absolutely no connection to Epstein whatsoever. So there is no list, okay? There's no list, man. There's people associated with Epstein that a list could be put together. But there is no that Trump's going to reveal the list and he's going to unseal the list. There is no list. You know what I mean? And I don't know how you can get much more than that. I don't know, man. I kind of feel it. The show tonight's been a big dud. I got a splitting headache. I got no computer. I don't know if you caught this thing about Trump threatening to assassinate. Wants to do a firing squad there against Liz Cheney, you know. So, I got a splitting headache now, man. Hey, he wants to kill, execute the Joint Chiefs of Chairman Miley, too. So, we got some kind of setup going on. So, anyway, so Tuesday's election day. I tried to get out and vote early, do some early voting today, but the voting place they sent me to that was on my paperwork there, it turns out that it was down for hurricane repair, so I had to go to this different place. And by the time I got there, and when I saw how long the line was, I knew I wasn't going to have time to do it, so I'm going to try and do it tomorrow. I would encourage everybody to go out and vote. If you're one of these, well, it's probably too late now if you're not registered now. Anyway, you can't vote. Except some states, you can register the same day. And in Nevada, you can register the same day and vote. I know there's a lot of people out there who say, "Oh, Ed, it's not an election; it's a selection," you know, and it's all controlled, and you know. And I got to tell you, man, it's really not. I'm going to be able to tell you some stuff. So I did some opposition research this election cycle, and it's a funny story too, you know. And I'm biting my tongue here. But I got to tell you, like, all these people out there who think, oh, it's all controlled and selected and it's rigged. And there is rigging that goes on. Like when we had Cynthia McKinney on here and they talk about sending the broken voting machines, you know, to the precincts where, you know your opponent's going to beat you. So the lines are out the door. That stuff happens. But this business about being able to rig these voting machines and stuff like that, that's not going on, man. I know these people. They're not capable of doing that kind of stuff. They just don't have the savvy. You know, they just wouldn't know what to do. You know, like even a little operation like, you know, I was telling you about now, where we had that extortion ring going out there in Michigan, and we were able to, you know, get their stuff. Like, that's even an operation these guys couldn't do. These guys couldn't pull that gun and get away with it. Just they're not capable of that level of operation, you know? It's just not there, you know? And when these people hire me for opposition research, it's not because they're stupid and they don't know that the whole thing's rigged, okay? It's because they know that it's not rigged, and they know that if they could get information on their opponent, they could win the election. Okay, they need money too. Of course, you know, then only certain people are going to get the money, and then you have the parties have a lot of control too. But this business about how it's all controlled and it's not. It's not. You know, so I would encourage people, if not this, if we have another chance to vote, if we don't lose that, if this cycle is so extreme, like never seen before in my lifetime, at least. Terrifying time. Like even the last time Trump was running, I says, you know, in my idea of accelerationism, I endorsed Trump, hoping that it would invigorate the left to organize better and come back and fight. But just like I said, man, under Biden, they went to sleep, and now here we are. Okay, we're just things have just gotten crazier and crazier. We're in bad times here, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you that. So I'm going to cut out a little bit early because I'm losing my voice. And oh, God, I'm in pain here in so many different ways. You have no idea. So, yeah, that's about it. I could ask you to join the Patreon, but kind of hopeless. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys. Good night.
Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, yesterday came suddenly. Why she had to go, I don't know, she wouldn't say. I said something wrong, now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Why she had to go, I don't know, she wouldn't say. I said something wrong, now I long for yesterday. Yesterday, love was such an easy game to play. Now I need a place to hide away. Oh, I believe in yesterday.